This is step 7 and step 8 of the apron project. What we're going to do, we've just got it pinned. We've measured 3/4 of an inch down. We've got our raw edges. We've measured 3/4 of an inch in, and we've got our raw edges. Our neck strap is not twisted. It's really important that we make sure that all of the straps stay right here in the center, that they're not getting caught up in our seams as we pin and sew. Next, I've got pretty side up, and I'm gonna go pretty side down. Now on this fabric, I can't tell my pretty side from my ugly side, but that's okay, because I'm gonna pick one to be my pretty side. This is gonna be my pretty side. I wanna make sure that I'm sandwiching all of my pretty stuff on the inside of my apron. So this is ugly side, this is ugly side. All the good stuff is in the middle. It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay, all the good stuff's in the middle. We're just gonna pin our way around our apron. The pins are going to go all the way through all the layers of the fabric and back up to the top. You want to put your pins in perpendicular to where you're gonna be sewing. Now, different teachers will tell you different theories on pinning. Some will say you should be pinning parallel. In my experience, I haven't really noticed that it makes much of a difference, but we're going to put our pins in perpendicular. You will notice as I'm pinning around, the apron should be lining up almost perfectly. You cut them out at the exact same time. They should be the exact same size. Also, I am pinning about a hand widths apart. Okay, I can feel my neck strap underneath there, moving in just a little bit. I'm gonna tuck it back under. You don't need to put pin to pin to pin to pin to pin. You put about a hand widths apart is gonna hold your apron in place enough to get it sewn. So as we're working our way around the apron, again, we are making sure that the apron straps are not gonna get tucked up into where we're sewing. We pinned these apron straps down and in 3/4 of an inch, which is the same thing as saying 6/8. We are gonna be sewing at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around this apron. So we are just barely, okay, you'll notice, sorry, switching tracks here. You'll notice I'm off just a little bit. That's gonna be okay, but all I have to do is pull my apron top over and it's going to match up. This amount of being off is not going to cause too many problems. We're just gonna work our way around. Sometimes the apron straps will make this layer kind of pop up a little bit. That's okay, just pull the fabric to where it does match up. Now, this right here, this edge that I'm pinning, is the bottom edge of my apron. I want to leave a hole that's about a hand widths apart. And just for sake of clarity here, I'm going to put in a purple pin and a blue pin. And those are gonna be my start and my stop points. It's about a hand widths apart. I just need enough space along the bottom edge. I'm gonna start sewing here, 5/8 of an inch, pivot, 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 stop. So I'm leaving my turning hole right here. At this point, we are going to sew around the entire apron, 5/8 of an inch. I personally like to sew with the pin side down. That way they're less likely to get caught in the foot pedal. We are lining up our fabric, okay? My pin is in the center part of my presser foot right here. I'm lining up on my 5/8 of an inch. I am putting my needle in the down position, and I'm gonna work my way around. I'm gonna back stitch when I start and stop. I'm gonna work my way around my apron. My job is to keep this straight on that 5/8 of an inch. When I approach the corner and I think I'm 5/8 of an inch, I'm going to pivot. This is why we have practiced pivoting on so many of our projects. We're gonna work our way around back to where we started, to that purple pin. As I approach my first side strap here, I can actually feel the strap underneath there. I can tell where I'm gonna be sewing over it and when I'm stopped sewing over it. As soon as I'm just past it, I know that I'm gonna be 5/8 of an inch from the edge and I can pivot. This is the hardest part of the project is going around this curve. It is such a slight curve that it's really not hard. A lot of times people don't even notice they're going around a curve. The big thing is just watching out for those straps. When you approach the top, you want to make sure that you're not sewing over the strap until you get to this top part. So we're approaching up, I can feel my strap right there. I know I can pivot. I'm lined up on that 5/8 of an inch, and I'm going to be sewing across my 2 top straps from my neck right across the top of my apron here. This is the only part that I want to be sewing over them, is right there. Then I'm going to pivot down. I want to make sure that the strap is not getting tucked into my second curve here, and I'm going to work my way around, keeping it lined up. You want to make sure that you're just sewing through the 2 layers, that nothing has gotten tucked up underneath. I am approaching my second side strap here. As I approach, I want to make sure that I am 5/8 of an inch from that edge and pivot. I'm sewing through my second side strap and working my way down the side of my apron, keeping it lined up on that 5/8 of an inch line the entire time. As I start to approach the bottom, I'm going to make sure that when I think I'm 5/8 of an inch from that edge, I'm going to pivot. This is the last part of the bottom, and when I approach that blue or purple pin this time, I am going to backstitch when I start and when I stop. So just 2 or 3 stitches, backstitching right there, needle up, and trim off your threads. We are now ready for step number 9.